Number one is narcissists are just flat out dishonest. No, that's their number one flaw. That's their biggest stumbling block. And by the way, we're going to tie these four things together in just a few minutes, so hang in there. But when I say they're dishonest, I don't mean that they just tell lies. I mean, they do. They are very deceitful, but it's their very nature. I mean, it is their persona that is dishonest because they are pretending to be somebody who they are not. Now, on occasion, I can give kind of an example here. On occasion, you'll see on the newspaper, or if anybody even reads newspapers anymore, but you see on the news, that somebody has been arrested for impersonating a police officer. They're not cops, they're just pretending to be. That's what a narcissist is. He is somebody who pretends to be, or she, somebody else. And once you get to know who this person is, you find there is such a discrepancy between the fake person and the real person that you wonder how you ever fell for it. But if you saw somebody, that a complete stranger, and they were wearing a police uniform, you would just assume they're a police officer. Isn't that right? Or if they're wearing a fireman's outfit, you'd assume it's a fireman. And if they're wearing a business suit, you would assume, well, this must be a businessman or a salesman or somebody who doesn't know that hardly anybody wears suits anymore. But they're dishonest. They pretend to be somebody they're not. Virtually every, just my opinion, but virtually every romance scammer who is pretending to be somebody he is not has this psychopathic, this narcissistic thing going on inside of them, this Machiavellian dark triad, persona, personality, whatever you want to call it. That's who they are. And how do I know? Well, because I've encountered these people over my 70-some years, and I've learned a thing or two, sharing with you some of the things I've learned, and I'm guessing that the reason that you are here is you know this is true. You probably have a person, or maybe more than one person, in mind at this very moment, and you can say, yeah, Ken, I can tell you. You're describing this person, and you could name that person. It's not just that they tell lies, they do. It's not that they say things that are dishonest and do dishonest things. It's that they are dishonest by their very nature. They are fake people, and that leads us to number two. Their fatal flaw is they tend to be overconfident because they are narcissists, because they are so proud, they're so arrogant. They are confident to a fault, self-confident to a fault. Nothing wrong with self-confidence. Everybody needs self-confidence. But when you think you can leap tall buildings at a single bound like Superman, and you give it a try, and you just get maybe a foot off the ground if you're athletic, and you slam into the side of the building, then you figure out, okay, I can't do that. But the narcissist, he'll just stand there and bounce off the building time after time. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point, right? They just can't seem to come to grips with the fact that there are some things that they cannot do. There's some things that they cannot accomplish. They see themselves as super people. They have abilities that you and I do not have. We could only dream of. They're better than we are in their minds. But the problem is, in all this confidence, it's so far overrated that they tend to trip up. I mean, yeah, they run into buildings. They think they can fly. Not literally, obviously, but they think like Superman they can fly. That's not a good trait. So, and you understand I'm being a little bit facetious here, but they believe they can do things that they cannot do. And when they try to do those things, they fall. By and large, I mean, there are a few exceptions out there, but they tend to get caught up in litigation, or they'll be arrested, or they'll have something else that will happen that will cause them to fall backwards or downwards, or maybe both. They're overconfident. That is one of their greatest weaknesses. Number three is they have fake empathy. Now, this is one of their weaknesses, but it also happens to be one of their strong suits. It's strong in the sense that they're good at it, but it's a weakness in the sense that it doesn't work. I mean, it works for a while. It worked on you, right? Empathy worked on me. All the narcissists I've had to deal with over my 70-some years, some worse than others. But the one thing they all had in common, besides the fact that they were dishonest and they were overconfident, is that they had a display or a presentation of being empathetic. They really cared about me. Had one really good friend, my best friend in the world, somebody I probably literally would have taken a bullet for. It was all fake. He was pretending to be a friend, and we have seen this in so many other people's lives. And if you're thinking of that narcissist, you know, that we talked about before, and how hurt you were when you found out that they're concerned for you, their care for you, their love for you, if it was a romantic encounter, that was all fake. It was all pretense. Maybe the gifts they bought for you were disingenuous, or the way they looked at you. Now you know they were pretending. The way they maybe even touched you. Now it just gives you the creeps to think about it, right? How in the world could you feel so foolish as to get caught up in that fake empathy? Well, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. All of us fall for it. Some of us are more gullible, vulnerable than others. I know that I am. I fall for it all the time. I just assume people are nice. Cognitively, I know that's not true, but still, I just tend to trust everyone. I'm guessing that you're the same way. So that just gives them this sense of empowerment over you because you're believing them. Now, in my mind, that's just disgusting that they would think that way, but that's the way they think. Number 4 is they don't detect manipulations from other people. Now, they imagine themselves to be brilliant, to be super observant of others. They are players, as I like to say. You put them in a social situation, and they know how to pull other people's strings, but there's something that they can't do well, and that is they're not very good at detecting when other people are manipulating them. At least that's true in my experience, maybe not in yours. But they are so busy inventing and imagining flaws in other people that they don't see the flaws in themselves. Well, they kind of do in the sense that they project their flaws onto other people, so they don't have those flaws in their minds because this person has that flaw. You know, we say that they're dishonest, so they will find dishonesty in other people, and in so doing, they will imagine that they are much more honest than this person because this person is dishonest in their twisted way of thinking. So they don't detect real manipulation when it comes along. All right, now how do you know how to manipulate a narcissist, rather? I need to do a whole video on this. I probably will at some time. I think I say that every video that I need to do a video. But how do you learn how to manipulate a narcissist? And what I learned to do over the years is I watch, once I understand they're narcissist, is I watch how they are trying to manipulate me. So that is what they think works, because that's what they're trying. And if it works on me, they think, it must work on everybody. Well, that's because it works on them. So whatever strategy they were using on you, and I'm not suggesting you use that on them, but whatever tricks and manipulations they're using on you, you can use them on them because they are vulnerable to those things, because that's what they think works, because that's what works on them. So again, and we're going to tie this all together in just a second here, but they're so busy projecting their flaws on you and inventing flaws on other people that they miss the real flaws. And we all have them, right? We all do mistakes, and sometimes they'll catch on to those things, and when they do, they'll magnify them. They'll make them far worse than they really are, and if it's a good trait, you know, they'll minimize it, do just the opposite. Sometimes they see those things, but by and large, when it comes to other people catching onto them and manipulating them, they're blindsided. At least the narcissists that I've dealt with, they were just stunned that I found out they were ripping me off. I mean, they thought I was stupid. They think everybody's stupid compared to them. And when we prove not to be as dumb as they think they are, it's absolutely positively shocking. Now, let's tie this all together. What the narcissist wants to do is he wants to be divisive. He wants to split you, not literally split you physically in half, but your thinking. Well, there's a term for that. It's called confusion. When you're confused, you're easy to manipulate. Now, cults understand this. People who engage in mind manipulation, thought reform, they understand that you got to confuse people before you can manipulate their minds. The narcissists typically don't know they're doing this, but they do it. I mean, it's not like they went to narcissist school and took a class in thought reform, but they know what they're doing in the sense, not that they've learned it, but it just seems to be the right thing to do in their mind. So they try to confuse us. And they do this through a thing, and you know it's coming, called gaslighting, right? So they will insert this self-perception into you, into your mind, that you are worse than you really are. Let's take a quick break here and let me tell you, whatever the narcissist convinced you that you are, I'm telling you, and I don't even know who you are, I'm telling you, it's wrong. You are a solid person. You got your act together. You are not mentally ill, I don't think. Whatever it was that the narcissist tried to convince you that you are not. Take a moment, pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself, because you are a survivor. The narcissist tried to take you down, and he or she failed. You're standing. You are standing taller, braver, smarter, more competent than the narcissist could ever imagine being. And no, that's not narcissism on your part. You're just being real. You outplayed the narcissist, and I want to say congratulations. But we tie this all together by saying the dishonesty, their overconfidence, that fake empathy, the detection, not their detection, but our detection of their manipulations, which they can't detect ours. All that comes together to say these people are trying to gaslight us. They're trying to give us a false impression of who they really are, and why not? They gave us a false impression of who they are, and we believed it. So why should we not believe the false impression of who we are? And guess what? We did. But not for long. Well, maybe it was a while, but typically we catch on to these people. And I suppose that's part of detecting manipulation or their inability to do it, because, people tend to catch on to narcissists eventually. They don't think that's ever going to happen, even though it happens again and again and again and again. They just brush it off and go on to their next victim. But you and I, people who are survivors of narcissists, we survive because, hey, we have a strong sense of identity. When the narcissist tried to divide us, tried to confuse us, tried to gaslight us, it worked for a while, but we came to our senses eventually. A moment ago I said very quickly, but not always quickly, but we came to our senses. And we got the message. And, some of us are still wounded and bruised and bleeding, but that's okay. Those figuratively speaking black eyes that the narcissist gave us, those are good reminders. I don't like the memory, but then again, it does serve me well, because it tells me that I'm going to be on the lookout. I'm not going to be so vulnerable next time. Hey, I'm in my 70s. I've learned a thing or two, sharing it with you. If you got something out of this video, join our family by subscribing. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you think this video is worth it. Share it on social media. You have no idea how much that helps. And if you leave a comment, if you do nothing more than say thank you or say, hey, good video, but join the conversation, start a conversation, be a part of this. That helps us. This helps you, helps everybody, and we'll see you all next time.